Hello everyone! Today is Wednesday, November the 9th, and I am Brian Colin, and welcome to my Creature Curations. On today's episode, I'm going to be continuing to paint this creature that I started here. I sculpted this critter, and I'll adjust the camera just a little bit so that you can look him all the way up and down. Up to the top, and then back down to about where we're going to start at. I sculpted this little fantasy beast, and now it's time to get some good colors on him. Feel free to ask me any questions along the way. Oh, and also if we get to a point on him where I want to stop, I will also then start on this guy, start painting this guy that I sculpted as well. Alright, for now I'm going to put him down on the floor. I grabbed some paints already now. The paints that I'm going to use on this, and the paints that I use for most of the pieces that I work on, are miniature paints for like painting D&D miniatures. It's part of the Reaper, the Bones lines. They're MSP core colors. I like the color blinds that they have. I also like the opacity of the paint as you lay it down on the pieces. That works really well for the stuff that I do. So you might be able to tell here on the bottom, on his chest, he's got like a wooden textured surface, and there's a door set inside of there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start laying down some foundation colors to start working that so it starts looking like wood. I went ahead and pulled a bunch of colors off of my shelf, some browns, one brown that it's kind of hard to read because my greasy thumbs have touched all over it. It's a muddy brown. I've got a walnut brown, some yellowed bone, some tanned leather. And I'm just going to squirt a little bit of each one on my palette because this paint really goes a long way, and you can always add more to your palette. I will also be painting using a number 4 Trekell Golden Taklon brush. I tend to paint most of my stuff with this until I get into some of the smaller details, and then I'll get a tighter brush on it. But I'm going to take a little bit of the tanned leather, put that on my palette as well. I needed a little break in my day. Wednesday is a work day for me, so I'm taking a couple hours out of my day to do a little bit of painting and just kind of zone out and get into my my painting brain. So I'm going to go ahead. I usually start with the darker colors. I also do a after I sculpt it, I tend to tape off the eyes and then spray paint it with a black base, just so it gets into all the nooks and crannies and stuff, and that makes it easier so that I don't have to get in there to get into where the shadows are. So I'll go ahead and just start doing a dry brush on the door. And the reason I wanted to start painting on the wood part of it was to decide what those colors were going to be. And once I had that, then it'll give me a better idea for what I'm going to do for the rest of the creature and what I'm going to do like for the fur that's on him and his nose. And I may carry the same wood colors up into the antlers because I think that would make sense to have all the wooden parts of this critter all look similar. Plus it kind of brings the top and bottom section together a little bit more. But quickly putting a little bit of paint on my brush. Oh, you can't see that at all. Hang on just a second. Let me drop this camera down. And dropping. Whoa, serious drop. That's going to be better once I angle the camera up a little bit. And a little more light even. Let's get it so you can see this guy better. And tilt this down and up. And then I'm going to drop him down even more. Sorry about the adjustments in the camera. I thought I had that set up well before getting set up today. Alright, this is going to be good. Alright, you'll definitely be able to see it better now. So my hand might get in the way a little bit. So I just took a little bit of the brown, put it on my brush, and then just quickly smack it around on top of here. And what this is going to do is quickly add color to it and get a base foundation down. And now it's going to start to blend into the wood that's in the background, but I hadn't really finalized that yet, so I'm going to add more to that as we go. and then help separate it out. I'll probably put some blues and stuff into that wood so it recesses back a little bit more and hopefully have a little more warmth in the colors that I put on to the wood here, so it brings it forward a bit. Definitely needed a little bit of painting in my day. It's always nice to do it on a Wednesday, halfway through my work week. It breaks up my week, gives my brain a little sense of recharge. Ooh, just felt a little surge in the electricity. Hopefully that won't happen again. I plugged in one of my lamps into a different outlet today. Hopefully I'm not going to be blowing any fuses. So I used up all the muddy brown color that I put down on my palette, so I just wanted to get a little bit more. And once I get this foundation down, we'll go ahead and add in some other colors to start seeing how the colors will blend together. Kind of climbing out of the inside of a tree a little bit. Actually, let me see. Let me move this. Hang on just a second. Sorry, my head's going to be blocking things. That's not what I wanted to do. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Trying to grab the one screen so I can move it. There we go. All right. How are you doing today? I didn't say your name last time. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try it. And Nazareth, is that right? I know I asked before, and then I forgot. So sometimes I need to pronounce things a few times before I feel confident saying it. Okay, gonna just bring some of this, a little more of this brown in. So the brown is going to, with this, because the black's in there, sometimes it needs a couple of coats. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of this tanned leather and work this over on top of it and blend it in while it's still wet, because that'll help blend the colors together a little bit. And okay, much better. I will always get that one right, I hope. Anything new going on with you today? A Nazareth. Okay, a Nazareth. A Nazareth. A Nazareth. A Nazareth. A Nazareth. I just need to keep saying it over in my head over and over again, and it'll start to stick. Problem is I start to look at a name and then I start to second guess myself, and then it gets all discombobulated. I'm just going to keep adding a little more on here. It'll start to build out the color better, and I like to go darker up to lighter most of the time, but every now and again I'll jump in and throw something a little too bright in there. But I can already see the details of the sculpting. Bacon fried curry chicken? That sounds delicious. Did you make it yourself? If so, what color curry is it? Is it a yellow curry, a red curry? Okay, so now that I've got that little foundation down, I'm now going to jump into an even brighter color. I'm going to jump into the yellowed bone. But I think I want to rinse off my brush, try and get it a little cleaner. Awesome. I love all different types of curries. I tend to always prefer to have some sort of coconut milk mixed in with my stuff, but I love all the curries. Or at least I haven't met one that I'm not fond of yet. So now I'm grabbing this yellowed bone. When I rinsed out my brush, I really squeezed the moisture out of it with my fingers and drying it on my apron to try and really get most of that out. And the yellowed bone is going to be a much brighter color compared to the rest. So I'm going to try and not put too much of it down. I'm going to let it blend into the door. Variety is the spice of life. Alright, now I'm going to, for this, I want to bring the brightness I'll start it down at the bottom so it helps have some separation from the background. And I'm sorry about any squealing that you're pulling in from the rest of the house. My 2-year-old is apparently very perky and happy at the moment. I'm going to pull a little on this side as well. I had some leftover chicken and a balsamic glaze with a little bit of mozzarella and some green beans for lunch. It was very tasty. It was also very easy and quick because it was leftover. Should have heated it up in the oven, but I went the lazy route and threw it in the microwave. But I also wanted to spend as little time dealing with lunch today so that I could make sure I got everything set up. Okay, so now we're starting to see some coloration in here. Then you can see the lines and the textures and what I carved as I was sculpting showing through because I'm just going over this lightly with the brush. I'm going to tilt this up so you can see the underside even more. Hopefully you can see some of the contrast in there from the darkness to the light. Just going to bring a little bit of this dry brushing back up around and stuff. It does. But it always seems to heat a little more evenly and thoroughly when I actually take the time to just put it in the oven and let it go for like 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Sometimes it's a little bit easier for me to get to the color or get to the painting when I lift it up. Definitely holding this brush way too high up on it, especially for as long as this handle is. I do not have patience at all, ever. Usually okay with the kids and things like that, but patience when it comes to wanting to get stuff done and wanting to. I always tend to be ready to just, all right, it's time to do this, let's go. Next thing, let's go. That's why a lot of times when I'm painting these creatures, the painting goes by real quick. I just jump in and just keep going. All right, I like where this is heading. I'm going to add a little more lightness on this side. And then I think I may go ahead and grab like just a little bit of like a gunmetal color just to put on the hinges so I can kind of see how that works, because I think that's going to help offset the door a little bit. Make sure I got all the moisture out. And well, being not patient on like vacations for me, I try to underplan a lot just so you can let the adventure take you where it's going to go. And I think the first time I really let that happen was when my wife and I got married and we went to Italy for our honeymoon, and we only had a hotel room booked for the first night and the last night, and the rest we just kind of had to find people that were renting out rooms, and so making it so everything was kind of left up a little bit to chance. It forced myself to relax and just go with the flow, which is not really my personality with most things. So it's interesting that it worked out that way with the vacationing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab from my shelf, grab some gunmetal color, and with some of the metals that aren't as that sometimes I run out of and I need quicker that I just get from a hobby store, I just use the model color paints, which are about the same size. The bottles are a little bit bigger, but they go on just as well. I'm just going to squirt a little bit of this one. Is I don't know, it just looks like gunmetal to me. A little bit of silver, nickel, going to drop this on here. Just put a little bit on the hinge. Then we'll probably come back in at a later point and put some dark blues in there to give it a little more shadowing. But for right now, that'll be good. And going to go ahead and drop that in. All right. For the foundation, I think that's a good start for that wood that's under there. That may change as we go, but I think that'll be good. What's up, Dexter? How are you today? Thank you for tuning in again. All right. So if you're just jumping in today, I'm painting on this creature that I sculpted. Just laid down some color on the chest plate that's really made of wood, and it's got a little door and hinges on there. So I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to move on to, I think I'm going to start painting the hands and paint the face a little bit to get the colors in, to see what those colors look like. And I kind of want to go like a light blue color. I think that's going to go well. I think it's going to stand off with the rest of it. So I'm going to grab some colors off my shelf. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Yes, I had a few more bourbons last night than I usually have. I'm going to grab a LED blue, a glacier wash, a surf aqua, and that should be a good starting point since I want it to go. It was all, at least for me, it was just sitting there and just drinking and watching. Drinking and watching. All right. I haven't used this glacier blue yet because I ended up buying a bunch of new Bones paints to see what all colors would tickle my fancy. So I'm going to lay down a squirt of that glacier blue. Oh, no, I have used this. Damn. And I wrote on it wash. So every now and again, there are certain colors that they don't go on as opaque as you want them to. And this one, it goes on really thin. So I'm going to tuck that one away and not use that one, because I don't want to just wash over this. I want to give it a nice thick coating. So that being said, okay, I'm going to throw down some Surf Aqua as a start. I'm going to flip my palette around so I don't actually dip into the color that's really a wash. And for my palette that you can't see, I use plexiglass, just pieces of plexiglass that I can scrape then. There are too many carbs in them. I've been bad the past month or so with paying attention to my eating habits and exercise habits. I need to get back to it. I think part of that has been streaming a lot more, which is, I blame that for cutting into time that I could be outside walking. All right, I'm gonna take this blue and let's see. I'll start on this left hand and see how it goes. Just gonna lay down a foundation. This will go on a little thinner because it's got that black underneath. So I'll need to go back in and do another coating or two once it dries. But this paint sets up so fast. Once I go around and do foundations on other parts where I want it to be this blue color, I'll be ready to come back and start adding some more. So Dexter, you said you do development stuff or coding stuff. I find that whenever I am coding, like building websites, just doing basic HTML and CSS and stuff like that, I have a hard time watching the streams because my brain jumps around from what I'm looking at to paying attention to the conversations. It is. I don't want it to be complete, like I don't want it to be like the door's painted blue, like the color of his skin, inviting others in. It's like you have to really look for it and be in the know, or make your perception check to see that it's there. Gotta tilt this guy up just a little bit so I can make sure I'm getting them. And gonna dip into the fingers just a little bit, make sure I'm getting inside the cracks. Right on. Yeah, I would totally get lost if I was watching streams and trying to debug. Gonna throw down some, but I've been trying to watch more Twitch streams while I do the day job during the day. See what other people are doing. Every now and again, jump into the conversation, but most of the time just lurking. Okay. I think this color is going to be good once it's down, and once I have some additional layers on it, and throw some darker blues in there to add more shadows. Even though I usually like starting with darker, sometimes it's good for me to get a sense of what the color palette's going to be by laying down some lighter ones. The blues will start giving this a little bit of a Skeletor colorway. And just going to make sure I cover all the area, knowing that I'll come back in and do the extra coats. Totally needed to do some painting today. It is a super nice break for me. Plus, now I'm starting to get some sculptures stacking up that are going to need to get painted. I need to finish up that big four-legged beast that I had started. All he's got left are some toes and some fingers that need to be finalized, and then he'll be about ready for painting. Excited about painting him. I think he's going to end up looking pretty good. And just gotta make sure I get all these little bits. Sometimes when it gets to where the fingers are touching where the wood surface that he's coming out of are, just gotta try and be nice and careful to not get too much blue all over the place. All right, that is a good start for the hands. Now I'm gonna do the same thing and bring that blue up into the muzzle a little bit. That's under the fur, stuff above the little goatee type fur there. And there we go. So, Inaz, are you doing any module writing right now? Since you did mention that you had been published in the one game, right? Now it's just looking like a weird blue milk mustache, but I will bring that up from underneath. Make sure I get into under where the fur is. Rest my finger on the nose to give me a sense of balance and stability, and make sure that this comes down underneath, and bring the blue down just a little bit underneath, and then the fur will kind of take over. At least this way it'll blend in to the lower portion of this critter. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start putting other coats on the rest of it. Like, I really want to make sure that this blue has a couple coats. Gotcha. Do you have any of the folks that are that's the one at your local gaming shop? Do you know if any of the folks have gone through and read the module back to back or front to back? I hate when I go into a game and the players just assume they know everything about it because they know about the setting, or going into Ravenloft, and then they're like, oh, he must be a vampire. Right on. I totally get that. The whole setting is it's a very daunting process when you look at it as the setting as a whole. Uh, for me, like for what I'm doing here with the creatures, it's like definitely taking it a little slice at a time. Excellent, very good. Will other people be coming in and out of the room while you're playing, since it's at a local gaming shop? I've never played in an open setting like that, even with going to Gen Con last year. Just since I was working my table the whole time, I signed up for a game, but by the time I was done with my room and it was time to game, I was just flipping beat. So I did not make it to the game. I gave my pass to one of my friends. I'll get a little more touch up on that thumb and then bring some of this color back in over here. But I think once this is done, we'll come back in and I'll do some darker blues on top of it. My Nightmare Black color that I like to use all the time. Awesome, that's very cool. I've got to make up a... I'm playing in that setting right now, and I couldn't make it to the last game because I got a stomach virus. And luckily, my character got killed off by some black ooze, so I have to make a new character before Saturday. Saturday's our next session, so I need to go ahead and make up my character maybe tonight. Thought I was going to possibly do it last night, and I didn't get around to it. I need a little more of this Surf Aqua. Yeah, I totally get throwing everything out the window and keeping people surprised and guessing at what things are. That's part of why I love making my own creatures for my games, because then they have no idea what it's going to be, don't have any idea what the weaknesses are. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to poke the camera with the end of my paintbrush. Yeah, I did, and I've done it to one of my players before. Like, one of my players, and this was years ago, one of my players, he was there, or he couldn't make it for some reason or another. I can't remember what it was. But to this day, I cannot live it down that he got a call while he was not there asking him what he had on him because the rest of the players were looting his body. So I kind of deserve to die this time. And this is my that was already my second character in the campaign. Yeah, totally. Totally about adjusting on the fly. Alright, that's got a good foundation there. It looks a little weird at the moment because of the blue and the black just setting in, but that'll start to come together before long. I know that'll work out fine. So what I want to do now, because I know the colors over here are the colors that I had on the door, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tilt the angle of the camera up a little bit, and going to go ahead and start painting on the antlers so that I can get those to have a similar color palette, make sure that those are very similar to the wood door down on his chest. Alright, so I'm going to pop this camera for a second, tilt it up. Might take just a moment to make sure I don't overgo it. Gosh, it's got very bright and hot up there. Let's see if blocking this light does anything. Nope. I have not looked at that yet. I knew that had just come out. Do you have any suggestions? Right on. It's good to have those challenges that you have to run from. Okay, so I started by laying down some of this brown, so I'm going to do the same thing on the antlers. So I'd already been a human and that guy failed. I was a human. I want to say I was a bard, maybe, and but he only lasted one adventure. Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds very fun. And then I was a deep gnome rogue, and so I think this time around I tend to usually always play bards. I like being the storytelling aspect, but I think this time I may go with some strange cleric with odd allegiances. Nice. It's fun when players get to be what they want to be. Okay, I'm gonna tilt this guy down just a little bit. Actually, let me see if I can do this and not have him drop off. Flicking some paint right in my face by doing the brushing across here. All these textures totally beat the hell out of my brushes. Are you talking to me or to an as? Because me, I tend to always play. I really lean towards bards with some sort of crazy acrobatic stuff. I like jumping around and being the center of attention. Probably why I'm on a live stream right now while I paint. But I also like leading the group and trying to encourage the group to go different ways. And I have a long-standing tradition of generally always putting my highest roll in charisma. And it is also oftentimes my downfall, because I think that my characters tend to think that they are better than they have more self-confidence than they probably should. Right on. My problem with playing wizards is the older I get, the harder it is for things to stick in my brain. So I've always been, and since I never played wizards much when I was younger, a lot of the spells and how all that works, I always just end up not wanting to try and make it stick. Especially, we usually only play once a month, once every 2 months. And when you set the books down and set the system down for that long, for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, I do like the warlock aspect. I actually think we've got a warlock in our party. He hasn't really led on exactly to what he is, because he just started playing with us. But I definitely get the distinct feeling that might be the way his character, or who his character is. I'm just bringing this brown in, the same base brown that was in the door of this beast. Right on. See you in a bit. Alright, just putting this base. Once this is down, I'll start adding some more color to it. Then I think these antlers will start to pop a little bit more. Right now everybody's at 5th level. Or I think that's what everybody was at. That's what he told me to make the new character at, so I assume nobody jumped up any major level, jumped up a level while I was getting killed. Alright, now that I got that color down, I'm going to drop in some of the tanned leather. What level are the characters in your game? Just going to quickly add some of this tanned leather color on top. continuing on blending this color in and adding some of this color to it. Right on. You did not miss much, just did a little more painting, talked a little bit about levels. Right on. Yep. They're about the same place that our group is at. Are you starting everybody in the Abyss campaign out at first level? Just keep blending this color in a little bit, and then we'll come back with the lighter color. That'll be enough for it to stand off of the background, I think, especially once I put some darker colors in there. I know I talked about throwing some blues into that background to help it recess, but now that I've made the flesh color blue, it may be a little hard to... Ha! Right on. All the better to see all the pores in my face. Try to make sure I shave every day before I stream, just to make myself a little more presentable. Yeah, they'll totally need to be at 3rd level. I think that's part of the reason why I died in the one of the first games in the Abyss, because we were so low level. And plus I was kind of ditching the party and leaving because I quickly realized that the backstory of my character and being human under there with everybody else just was not going to work out, so I went with the way my character would go and had him split. Is it the app on your phone or like a tablet? Because if you do down in like the right hand corner, there should be like the little line menu, and that should switch it over to the chat. Or is it like the app for the TV? So I've never done that. Okay, I've got that color down. I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my brush. Give it a good shake in the bottom of the water. Squeeze out all the excess. It's funny, I'm asking you questions, but you've lost the chat log, so you won't be able to respond. All right, I got all the moisture out of that brush, and let's go ahead and start adding some of the lighter color. All right, bring this guy in. Don't pull your punches, don't wear dagger gloves. Nice. I like that. Right on. I've never actually watched from my phone. I mean, I've checked it real quick to make sure that I can see what's going on, and like if I'm just getting ready to stream, I'll check on my phone to make sure everything's going okay. Because if I try and launch Twitch on my laptop while I've got my broadcasting software going, it just freaking chokes. I'm hoping the new computer I'm getting in December will handle it a little bit better, but I don't know. Okay, I need a little bit more of this yellowed bone. And I'm going to drop, that is the one, yeah, that's the color I was using. Drop a little of that down on my palette. Get some more up into the trees. Yeah, it's hard when you get really attached to characters and then they die. I usually try not to do that unless it's just really, I don't know. I tend to work when I'm running a game, I tend to work in real time a little bit when people start taking way too long to make decisions. And then shit'll just start rolling, and all of a sudden it'll make people start to have to think on their feet a little bit more and really get things moving. I started trying to do an online game with my friends where we all got on video chat and doing it, and I started doing it like after work, after I put the kids to bed, at like the same time that I'm doing like the streams, like at like 9:30 at night, and I just can't. Goliath Eldritch Knight? I like that. That sounds very cool. To the incredibly racist country. Yeah. Yeah, that'll definitely get you killed. A single friendly NPC. Nice. I just couldn't bring myself to run a game sitting at my computer after sitting at my computer all day and then just do stuff on the fly, because I'm very bad at actually prepping adventures. I get like the base foundation, some of the characters, and some of the overall themes that I want to go with, but I tend to just make almost all of it up on the fly, just so that I don't feel like I'm locked into anything, especially if the character's motivation and stuff is going to take it a certain way. Yep, you gotta know when you've got to get out. Goliath Eldritch Knight. I'm gonna have to look into that. I really do need to figure that out this evening, though. No, I guess it doesn't. They definitely don't need to bite. Just a second. Oh, there's a message from my business partner Russ. He tried sending me a video call and then remembered that I was on the stream. All right. I like the colors that the horns are coming in. What's up, Russ? Yes, you do. You just need a little soothing talk. Now, we might be talking a little too much D&D, Mr. Russ, but we've been going at the gaming talk pretty hard. So, while you were away, Russ, I started painting on this guy's chest area with the door and laying down some wooden colors. Started putting down a foundation for the skin tones, which are going to be bluish, and then started laying down the same wood colors in the antlers, which are kind of hard to see the coloration. Here, let's tilt it down a little bit. And now it's time to start thinking about, I'll go ahead and start adding some darker blues into the hands and stuff so that I can get a real feel for what that's going to be. Ooh, I don't know how a horse would handle in Underdark. Okay, I'm gonna grab my black, Nightmare Black, that's got like the darker blue, so I can start putting some extra coloration in there. Pardon me as I reach. Pure black, black wash, Nightmare Black. This Nightmare Black is, the label is worn down so bad, I need to finish this one up. Singblade spells and the Swords of the Coast book. Did I say Underhorse? I meant I meant Underdark. But I'm not surprised that I said Underhorse. I was thinking about horses and thinking about stumbling around, and then I was thinking about the other characters in the party eating my horse. I'm going to take some of the lighter blue and go ahead and blend it in with some of that darker blue. Even though I was planning on doing more of a dry brush. I think it needs a little bit of this to help work it through. Totally. And I had thought about playing a drow that had been thrown in jail for disagreeing with something in the society. Then that would also kind of help out the rest of the party that's trying to navigate through the Underdark. Totally. And I'm just going to keep blending this lighter blue into the darker one. I'm going to have to squirt out a little more of that light blue to give a little up under the upper lip. And that was the Surf Aqua. They do, but I hear underhorses and I start thinking about seahorses and thinking about some sort of aquatic nightmare horse that lives in some of the lakes and ponds in Underdark. Definitely could be some creepy looking stuff. Mr. Russ, everything cool on the work front? I'm going to bring some of this dark nightmare black to the lower lip, and I'll work this around and then get some more of that blue and blend it down in just a little bit. Nightmare fuel is good. In like crawl spaces and under houses here in Georgia, we have cave crickets that look like excellent. I'm glad things are quiet. We have cave crickets which kind of look like weird alien spiders that jump when light hits them, and I've thrown some giant ones of those into some of my campaigns. Blade Singer spells. I'll have to do a search for that this evening when I'm making the character. Okay, so you probably can't tell how much darker that lip is now because that light is coming in fierce, but it's definitely feeling a lot more refined and not quite so punchy, bright blue. I'm gonna bring in some of this Nightmare Black into the hands now. Start blending that stuff in. For a second I thought it sounded like it was a Ghostbusters soundtrack coming in on the tunes. Then I realized it was some old Beastie Boys. Feel free, you guys are welcome to throw songs into the queue. This is just the secondary playlist. Cave crickets, yeah, if you Google them, I think you should be able to. Should be able to see them. They're pretty damn creepy looking. Especially, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bugs, especially when I'm like hunched over in small spaces. And some of the players felt the same way, so they were quickly creeped out by it, because most of us have experienced them in some form in Georgia. So with this hand here, I'm just going in and adding some of that dark blue, and then gonna brighten it up again with that same lighter blue once this sets in a bit. Then I'll probably go in and do the nails in the Underdark once, where characters had to fight acid-spitting giant snakes. Yeah, I would not like that one either. Pretty much like my phobias around animals, not like true phobias, but fears, are pretty much anything that's not a mammal, and any mammal that is larger than me. I think it's justifiable to be fearful and wary of such creatures. Angry Folk Band? Excellent. I'm not familiar with them. I'm looking forward to hearing it. All right, gonna add a little more light blue in here, brighten that up a little. I'm gonna have to bring some more of that darker blue in. Gonna have to bring some of the light blue across the knuckles on this other hand. Excellent. Now, and as you said, you've a 10-year-old, and they don't play. Do they play D&D at all with you? My son's 7th birthday is coming up, and we're having his birthday party elsewhere. But some family are coming over and around his age and a little bit older. So I think I'm gonna introduce them to some real. He's really into the Pathfinder because he likes the maps you can lay down and the box monster set where you punch out the monsters out of the cards and stick them in the plastic holders. So I think I'll try and introduce them to a Pathfinder game that day after the actual birthday party, and when it's just some family and friends over. Hopefully they'll like it, and then maybe be able to play a regular game with them on the holidays and random times out of the year that we actually get together. Alright, that color is starting to look a little bit better. It's not quite as bright and punchy, feels a little more muted. Oh, good. Hopefully the reading will get him into it. I can't imagine. Did he just recently get glasses? I know I got mine when I was in 4th grade. Damn, good luck fixing them. Let's see. Birthday list. He's not home right now, and he won't watch this in reruns. So, yesterday? Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be a huge difference. Oh shit, you don't really know until you're in it. And just hopefully things will work out and he'll get really into the reading. Especially if he's been missing out on it now. I forgot that the ears should be a fleshy color, just like the hands. So I'm going to go ahead and work some of the blue into the ears. Let's see, what are the things that he's hoping for? We got him Bloxels, which is a game that you lay down the pieces on a board and then you take a photograph of it with a tablet, and then you can kind of program your own like 8-bit style video game like Super Mario Brothers. It looks really awesome, and so that's the one thing that we're getting him. I think his cousins and aunts and stuff are getting him some of the new LEGO Dimension stuff that just recently came out, because he's excited about the new wave of that. Oh, the video games, they are everything to him. Awesome, that's great that he's reading. I guess if that's what you're used to and that's how you're used to seeing, you wouldn't really know any different. I'm spinning this around just a little bit. Sorry you're having to look at the back of this, but I need to get some of this blue on the back of these ears. Sometimes these brushes don't want to get exactly where I want them to go, even with the extra long handle. That's good. Time to drop down a player's handbook, monster manual, and let his imagination go wild. Okay, I'm going to drop a little more of this light blue in this here. And I need a little more of that surf aqua color on the old palette. I'm gonna just do down the base coats of this ear. Just gonna make sure it covers the whole thing, and know that I'll come back and do another coating since you're still able to see the brush strokes under it pretty good. Awesome. Yeah, right now we can only convince our son to read when it's like as part of his homework. He has to do 20 minutes of reading every day after school. That's just part of the school assignment. So we get him to read the library books that we pick up. He reads those, and then he's pretty much done with that, unless I pick up like a new book. And when I pick up like a new D&D book or show him one of my old ones, then he'll get interested for a little while until he gets distracted again with video games. All right, I'm gonna put a little more, another coating of this blue over here, and soon it'll really start to, the ear is going to start to take shape pretty quickly, and then we'll add the darker blue in to give the blended colors and textures. Oh, it's going to be time to figure out the color of the fur very soon, which is going to be exciting. Don't really know which way I want to go with the fur. Person I had sculpted this for said that they didn't really want to influence my decision too much, but they just didn't want any real magenta colors or purple colors, so I think I was going to go lean a little more natural in color, or like brownish oranges, but I want to make sure it has a strong enough contrast that it sets it apart from the rest of this creature. Hey, Poppy Babs, thank you for the follow. Let me know if I pronounce that incorrectly. I'll try and make it right. I hope your Wednesday is going well. I'm painting on a sculpture that I made of one of the creatures from my fantasy world of Revelo that I've been building out. Just kind of painting them as I go and seeing where the colors take us. Yeah, that's great. Hopefully now he'll quickly excel at that. So now I rinsed out my brush because I had some of that light blue color built up in there, and I squeezed out all the extra moisture. I could tell like my thumb and my forefinger are starting to get a little dishpan hands feel going onto them. And I'm going to take that Nightmare Black, which is really a dark blue, and just put a little bit of that inside the ear cavity, and I'm going to kind of blend it up into the ear. And I'll come back again once this is done with some of the lighter blue, but I just wanted to really blend that in and work it in a bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back side of the ear as well. And just kind of work that up a little bit. I'm going to spin this one around to get some of the dark color in this ear cavity as well. And then from there, it'll be time to put a little bit more light blue in, and I think the ears will be in decent shape for now. What I'll do once the whole thing's painted, I'll come back and hit things with even more highlights, just to help different parts stand off a little bit more and separate a little bit from the rest of it. Okay, now I'm gonna get a little more of the light blue. I still have some of that darker blue in my brush, so that'll allow this to continue to blend a little bit. And I'm just going to quickly go over the areas that stick up and stand off the rest of the piece a little bit. Gonna come over here, do the same thing on this ear, and just kind of blend down. Alright, those ears are in pretty good shape for now. So at this point, I do believe it is time to start thinking about the fur color. I don't think I need rinsed out my brush. Gonna pinch out the excess water a little bit, and now I'm going to, I'll leave this this blue out for now, just in case I need it again. Looking at the color of this creature, I almost think like a silvery color might look pretty good. especially tying it into like the little tiny hinges that are on the door. Maybe a silver with some of the Nightmare Black, so it has like a bluish silver color. Let's see what happens with that. I think to experiment with that, he's got a ringed tail. There's different layers there, and he also has a slightly elevated fur around his eyes. So what I think I'll do is I'll do the silverish color down around the mask of the face, not the parts around here that I see being a much darker color, almost like how a raccoon has the mask that he's wearing. So I'll do some of that silver around the rest of it, and then we'll get some of the Nightmare Black blue color to tie into that, and that'll help kind of tie in the color that's in the hands as well. So I'm going to squirt some of this silver down on my palette. Going to take that same number 4 flat tack-on brush, and we will start on his snout. Let me twist this a little bit, make sure he's in a good spot for viewing, and jump in to add some color on here. So let's see. Thing about the silver, you really, with the metallic colors, they work a lot better when you don't have any moisture at all in your brush. So I'm just gonna bring this around, and you should start to see this form take even more shape pretty quickly, because I'm gonna be dry brushing on top of the highlights of the fur that are up, and that should quickly define the critter quite a bit. It's beating up my brush pretty good too. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and bring the silver down into the rest of it. And do some up around the ears. And go ahead and bring it all the way around the back. And I'm just gonna bring the silver around and just keep going around, just to get this base silver color down. And I think this is gonna work out well. I think I'm gonna dig how this guy looks once he's all done. Especially I'll put some colors on top of the silver so it doesn't look super like metallic shiny, but almost more of like a grayish color, or a silver fox, if you will. Then I'll definitely need to bring in some darker to add more separation between this and like the tree antlers that are coming up out of its head. And just putting some paint on and just quickly and loosely going across the textured surface will get the color on how you want it to without staying focused on any area for any real length of time, because you don't want to really work the paint into the nooks and crannies. You just want to go over top of it. Ooh, there's something sticky going on with the color down in my on my palette. There was like a booger of color. Not cool. I got a little bit along the edge. You can just go in with your thumb and wipe off any extra. And just gonna bring around the chin a little bit. Let's spin him. Spin that creature! Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring up the side over here. Let's get this whole guy taken care of. And painting on this surface like this and just doing this brushing across is going to get a whole lot of color on this guy fast. Maybe able to get this guy almost completely painted in today's painting session. That would be pretty rad. I will want to go back in and do some extra colors into the background piece to help add some more definition and separation, because right now it feels a little bit flat. But that can be done after I finish up the creature part. Now with this, know that I'm coming up around this face. I'm just going to make sure I leave the mask on him so that we can paint that in a different color. Same thing like when I go back and I'll do the tail with the base of this silver. We'll make sure to, whoop, getting some silver on there. Let me get some water on my brush. When it goes on real fast like this, you can get your brush with some liquid in it, some water. Just get in there and push it around. Just push it around a lot. It'll thin it down and kind of work like an eraser. Same thing, I got a little bit on the ear here. I can wipe that off. And now I'm going to go back in, pull the moisture out again with my brush, and grab a little bit more of that silver. And it's time to bring it back in. And keep going. I'm going to need some more of the silver here in a minute. Thought I'd squared just enough, but that's okay. Like I said, it's always better to go back and get more than it is to put too much on your palette and then not use it. Try not to waste my paint if I can. Except for when my daughter is using her glitter paint. I'm happy to waste that because it has such a strange odor to it. I do not like that glitter paint. Alright, I'm going to bring my brush up here and take off some of that silver that came in. And I'm going to tilt this guy, just make sure everything looks like it's got a foundation on it. Now I know that I didn't get the cap of the head or the tail, so I'm going to tilt this guy towards me. Well, first I'm going to get myself a little bit more paint. Just got to shake these paints up pretty good. Give it a little squirt down on my palette. And now I'm going to go ahead and tilt him down. Make sure I'm not going to pop off of the off here. And get a good handle where I can still get my brush in there well. And I'm just going to do the same thing I was doing before, just do fast swipes across, try and blend this color in and cover the whole thing. Don't want any of this to just be the black spray paint. That would not be cool. And gonna bring this one down over here. All right, I think I got that pretty covered. So right there. And now let's figure out the tail. I'll do the very tip silver, then I'll come down and do them in order. Do every other one in the silver. And there we go with that. And for the next one, it's crazy that it plays the same songs instead of the randomness. Alright, skip that one, since we just heard that like 10 minutes ago. Okay, and now I'm gonna just bring some more of that silver in. Then I'll put some more silver on my brush. We've got one more stripe to do silver. Then I think it'll be time to figure out what the other color is before going in and adding additional colors to this guy. I may actually put another layer of silver on top, just because I think it'll probably help make the silver stand out even more. Oops, got a little bit on the tree part in the back. That's okay, I'll end up covering that up. So since I've got some silver here, I'm going to go ahead and see how doing a second layer that helps punch it up and brighten it up even more. Definitely helping it stand out even more. It's good. I'll do another light layer of silver in certain spots. Not the whole thing, but just certain areas where I feel like it could use a little more brightness. And then from here we will add we'll go ahead and add some of the Nightmare black before we go in and figure out what the next color is. Well, sorry about hitting the camera with my brush. And I'm just going to keep painting on that a little bit more. And bring a little more of that silver into the back of this guy. Work it up towards the top just a little. Do a little more on the cheek fur over here, just to have a little more separation on that. Just blend, blend, blend. Then work it in. This brush is, I think it's gonna be time to retire this particular brush after the sculpture is done. Luckily, I think I have at least one more just like this. It'll be time to order another one. I do like these number 4 flat brushes. And all right, a little bit more down on his chin. Get that going, get some of that in there. All right, a little bit more under here. Doesn't look like it's got very good coverage, so since I've got this guy tilted up, might as well throw some in there. All right. I really like how the wood on his chest is looking. I think that color is coming together really well. I think once adding some of this darker blue in here, the Nightmare Black, I think the rest of this is going to start to come together. And it'll help me decide what color the other color should be for around the eyes and the other rings on the tail. Okay, I pulled all the moisture out of that brush. I'm going to get to my Nightmare Black. Shake it up. Drop a little bit on my palette. Ooh, this one's almost empty. It's almost empty. It's making bubbles. And then let's do this. Let's grab just a little bit, just a little tiny bit on my hand, on the tip of the brush. I'm gonna bring it into the lines, the cracks that are in here, and from there I think I'll then work it out into the rest of it by just seeing what happens when I start to blend it. Since some of this is going to be a little bit wet, and I'll do it around the outside and work it up into the rest of the piece, and use that as a way to kind of add more contrast between that and the wood that's on the chest. Under the kind of the upper cheek area, I'm going to rinse out my brush just to pull it into, shape it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to bring it in just under here, and then just blend that down, pull it down. That definitely separates the upper part of the skull from the rest of it, which I think is good and needed. That'll also give me some color to put in under the tree roots up on the top back to help add some shadows to it that aren't just natural shadows that are cast from the sculpted elements. And then I may end up doing the same thing around the eyes, but it depends on what color I make those. I still haven't decided yet. But we're going to do the same thing over here, and then go ahead and brush beat that color into this. Do it back behind this ear. All right, and then I'm gonna bring even more up behind this ear, and then bring it down. And one more little spot that I want to add it to. I'm gonna add it underneath the bottom lip here. So if I need to, my brush needs to get a little more flat, a little flatter. All right, and then I'm gonna bring this up around the bottom of the lip, and then around here, and then just bring it down, blend it down into the rest of the piece. Alright, that's definitely given a little more separation of the bottom lip and the fur down below. I like how that's feeling there. And now it's time to figure out the color around the rest of the eyes. Because I think that silver is good. I think the silver with the blue is good. May bring a little more of that blue into other parts of the silver in a little bit. Just depends on how that looks. Alright. I want it to be dark. So it stands off, but I don't want it to be the dark, I don't want it to be brown and blend into the wood. I don't necessarily want it to be blue, unless it's a different color blue. Let's go with a different color blue and see where it goes. Alright, looking up on my wall of color. Ultramarine Shadow? That's got a good name to it. Let's see what that's like. Ooh, we got Gunmetal Blue. That might be even better. Alright, Gunmetal Blue might be it. It might be totally the right thing. Let's see. Gonna put a little squirt down. Maybe too close to the values of the other one, but we'll see. Okay. I have a feeling that this is just going to be the right color, so I'm going to jump in. Okay. Right now we can't really tell because it's just a really dark blue and going on top of the black. I'm going to cover this entire black area with this. We're just going to do it since you won't be able to tell much difference. And then I'm going to bring in a lighter color to do highlights, and while it's still wet, see if I can blend it out and see where it goes. But by having this gunmetal blue color all the way down across all of it, it'll make it easier for blending, so I'm not having to jump in and throw it in real quick at the end. But I am going to need more of that color because I didn't put enough down. I was not certain that was the color, but that color choice was correct, but I believe I've rolled well for this one. Alright. Just gonna quickly throw this stuff in up here. And get a little down here. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna get a little on the eye, which is okay, I'll just scrape it off later. I want to make sure there was some spot underneath that didn't get the spray paint because of how I had this taped off when I masked it. Okay, I've got this down. Now the real question is, what is the color that I'm going to use to bring out the highlights? I want it to be a lighter color. I don't really want it to be a light blue because I want to see more how this color blue, this gunmetal blue reacts. So I'm going to use a whiter color called Maggot White that has a blue tint to it. It is also one of my standard colors, my go-to colors. That and Nightmare Black are my two contrasts. I'm going to leave the paint that's on this brush and just go ahead and grab just a little dab of that white. And I'm going to bring it in to the highlights, like right around the bottom of the eyelid area, and just start blending it and see where it goes. Okay, I think I'm gonna try and keep most of this just around the outside of the eye. I don't want to have too much of it because it's going to come in too close to the hue and of the silver, and I don't want them to fight. I want them to definitely have a distinct difference in color. So that being said, I'll do the same thing on the other side so they're matching, so they're matchy-matchy. And then after that, I think I'll let those dry and then bring some highlights in just with the white over top of it and just dry brush on top to kind of pull in some additional light to it. Okay, I'm using my brush. I dipped it in water. I got most of the moisture out, but I went in with the brush and a little water just to get some of that paint that I just put down on, just kind of erased it away. I do like that color though. It's very subtle, this gunmetal blue. It's hard, I'm sure it's pretty much impossible to see the difference between that and the black that's on here from the camera, but in person it definitely has a different color to it. It's got that blue, it's got a little bit of shimmer, which I think is good for this creature. All right, especially living in the floating forest. My son loves the idea of the floating forest, especially he loves the idea of the like tentacle-like masses of roots that hang down and the evil creatures that lurk inside of there. I need to start working on the story for this critter tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning it will be it. I'll get up early, I'll write for 30 minutes to an hour, do a daily drawing, and then get started with the rest of the day. Trying to set schedules for all the little bits of creativity in my life, or the majority of them, helps me stay focused and on track and constantly creating. I really like having schedules, because then I don't feel like, oh, I can just, I thought I'd draw today, but I don't really need to. If I have it and it's like, okay, that's my schedule, I'm gonna do it every this day and this day, then I'm totally gonna stick with it. Maybe it was those old commercials from my childhood. Quitters never win. I still want to win. Gonna put another layer of this blue, gunmetal blue on. And do a little bit more. I just want to make sure this guy's good and saturated. He's got a little more on the brush than I thought than last time with the other one, so I'll go ahead, wipe some of that off on my palette. Now I'm going to bring this white color into the eyelid. I'll blend that in just like I did on the other side. Do it up top as well. Just blend that out. Now this side is definitely, I must have gone in with more white on this side, because it's definitely lighter. I'm going to try and bring some of that in over here as well. So I like how that's looking a little bit more, especially right around the eyelid. Alright, there we go. They're looking pretty similar there. And I'll try and just blend some of that out. Alright, that is looking pretty alright right there. I'm gonna, again, get some water on my brush. Gonna wipe off this eye, get some of that paint that I got on the glass. Now luckily, like, the acrylic will totally scrape off of the eye once it's all done. I'll just, since it's glass, I'll just get an X-Acto blade and scrape. But if I can have it mostly clean while it's looking at me, I like it looking at me. Especially since this is going to go to somebody else's home. I like looking at it for as long as him for as long as I can before he's gone. All right. Now that I'm going to let that color set up there. And since I know that I want to do 1, 2, 3 rings of color there, I'll go ahead and take those in and and add those colors to the tail. Then we're going to have to add the nose at some point, but he is coming along pretty well today. Okay, getting the gunmetal blue. Let's go ahead and do the middle one. I don't know why I started with the middle one, but that's okay. A little bit on the wood there, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and bring it up here. I need more of that gunmetal blue already. Squeeze! Something's getting a little bit clogged up in there. Smackety smackety smack. Sad. I thought maybe since my door's been slightly ajar and one of my cats is trapped in here with me, I thought Beetlejuice might come up and say hello. But he has taken over the chair that sits by at my day job desk. And usually once he gets in that chair, it's like, oh, I've gotten the main throne. It is mine. You will never get it back. Alright, I'm going to go in and get some of this gunmetal blue on that last ring of fur, the fur down here, the tail. Alright, I need a little extra light to make sure that I'm getting what I need to get, so I'm going to shine my phone and flashlight in here. You can definitely see a little bit of shimmeriness to the gunmetal blue, especially when shining the light on it like this. Alright, almost got this coating down. Cool. Make sure I turn my phone off, or my light off. Now that that color is down, get the moisture out of my brush again, and now I'm going to go ahead and bring some of this white highlight into the eye mask. Just going to get just a little bit of paint, and let's see where this goes. I'm going to do it right on the tops, and just brush it. Oh, and that's getting so close to the value of the rest of it. That was a total fail with that. Alright, time to work some more of the gunmetal blue back in. That just is not gonna work. Alright. I will rethink that one in a little bit. Figure out the best way to handle that. Maybe it is putting some of that white. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll bring some of the white into the silver up top. Getting the moisture out again. And doing it just around here. And brushing it down. That was the way to go. And get a little more of that. Bring it around up here. Working that onto the silver is definitely the right way to go. It adds more contrast between that and the mask color down below. You can even bring some of it in here just to help add with that contrast. Another little dab will do me. Alright. And doing a little up around the nose too. Let's bring it all the way around. Let's make this mask really stand off, this fur mask. Now if I come back with a lighter blue on top of the fur mask, since it's got this white all around it, it's going to still have enough contrast. Almost done with this color around here. I'm just going to blend this down a little bit more. And by blend this down, I mean smash my brush in and really push the bristles to push the color to make it all blend in together. Alright, I like how that ended up working out. It's definitely a little bit lighter in the face, almost a little panda-esque Um, Perhaps I take a little bit of water to this. That's okay. I think I'll do a little bit down at the bottom on the chin to help bring that color up into the face a little bit more. And then it will be time. I should probably add a little bit of this to the silver that's on the tails, or the tail rings. I'm gonna bring this up in here. Bring my thumb in to do a little bit of erasering. All right. See what happens when I put a little up here. I'm gonna angle this guy down just a little bit to help. I think this is definitely adding the right color element to it. Sometimes you just gotta try things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Just know you can add more color to it, go back, rework. Plus, the more you do it, the more instinctual it becomes and the less you have to actually think about it. All right. I like how that is feeling overall. I think I want to bring just a little touch of the blue that's in the hands into the mask, just a little. But I'll give that a minute to let that set up just a little bit more. And then while that's happening, it's time to think about the nose and also the fingernails and stuff. For the fingernails, I'm going to go ahead and just squirt. Oh, I have a little bit still on the palette. A little bit of this, I stuck my finger in some paint, of this yellowed bone. I'm going to tilt this guy up, see if I can find some fingernails on here, and see if I can do it with this little flat brush. Just going to put the color in, and then I'll have to come back in with a darker color so it's not quite so bright, or take some of the blue wash over top of it, some of the Nightmare Black, just to blend it in so it doesn't look like he's wearing fingernail polish. I'm gonna blend this one up, and this one, and just a little bit more. All right, we got the foundation down there for those. We're gonna let those dry for just a minute. Let's think about the color of the nose. Nose. I think I'm gonna have it be the same color as the eyes here, with that kind of gunmetal blue, at least a little bit, and then I think I'll lighten it up a little bit with oh, come on, something's getting clogged in here. I don't want it to be too bright and pink, but I also don't want it to be solid black, so I'll do a little of this, and then I'll mix it with a little bit of brown. This is a brand new tube. It should not be getting clogged up like this. Do I have my trusty paperclip? I do not see it. It's alright. I'll use one little piece of the rake and hope that goes in easy. There we go. That went through. Wipe the paint off of my rake tool. Don't want to mess that one up. I love that tool too much. Just give this a little more squirt. Maybe it's the gunmetal part. Maybe there's some sort of little bit of metallic compound in there that's clogging up the tubes. Okay, I'm going to take the muddy brown, just a little dash of it. A little dash will do me. And now I'm going to blend these two colors together on my palette. I'm just going to mix them a little bit. So it's kind of a metallic bluish brown. And now I'm just going to paint the nose. I thought if I did it too light and too pink, it would be just too much of a focal point. I also didn't want to just be like straight up black to the nose. So we'll do this, then we'll bring in some white to lighten it up in certain spots. And then I think I'll probably even bring this color in. I might grab a slightly smaller brush and bring in a little bit of this onto the fingernails. Help bring the color of the nose somewhere else into the piece. Okay. Squeeze out the moisture. And let's add just a little bit of this white color just on the tip and see. See what happens when I lighten it up just a little, just around here, and then a little bit more. And bringing that down. All right. I'm okay with the color of the nose. And now it is time, let me grab a small brush from behind me. I don't have any smaller brushes up in my brush stand. So let me grab one and then go in and tighten up those fingernails just a little bit. Now we've got a number 2 round by Chappelle. I'm going to take some of that same brown, and I'm going to just tilt this guy up and look at the fingers again and bring some of this, just bring a little of that in. I'm just going to put a little on each one, and then I'll come back and I'll just start blending it a little bit. If I need to, I may put a little more of the bone color on if it needs to be worked in a little bit more. Which I think it's going to need to be. But I do not have any on my palette, so a little yellow bone. And drop a little of this down. And try and blend and blend and blend. And this is such a small area to blend on. I grabbed too much paint on my brush, so it makes it a little harder to work. So I think this just might be one that I go back and forth on a couple of times till I get it exactly how I want it. Which is okay. Get that a little wet with the brush. Get a little of that metallic-y blue-brown. And blend and blend and blend. That's why I don't paint little miniatures. The teeny little details are not really my my best friend. They don't work together so well. It just takes a little while to get it where you want it to be. I'm gonna grab a little more of this brown, put a dab in here, a dab here, a dab here, and a dab here, and just blend it in. And once it's pretty far blended, gonna get a little bit more of this yellowy color, yellow bone color, and blend this one even more. There we go. Now I'm starting to feel like I like the color of the fingernails here. I only took a few passes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But also the layering, I think, of the paint helps build up a little bit of the texture and the depth a little bit. And there we go. Okay. I think this one needs it a little more, just because that one's the one like right in the foreground. The one that people are going to see the most, this little thumbnail. So let me put a little more in there. There we go. And maybe a little more right up here. Alright, I dig how that's working out. Okay, now I need to add some color to here around the eyes, here on the stripes, and then we need to go in and start working on some more of the background. So I think the background needs to have a little more work done in it. It doesn't have a whole lot. I might get a bigger brush to really kind of work some colors in quickly into that. And he's getting pretty close. I dig how this guy's turning out. Okay, so put this brush down over here for now. I'll use this one, this number 4 flat again. So since I wanted to put similar highlights in here, I'm going to take some of the Surf Aqua, just a little bit, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of that same gunmetal blue. So it's not such a departure from what's on there. I don't want it to just be like straight this bright blue color. So I want it to kind of have some of that gunmetal mixed in. Alright, I think this will be a good foundation. Hopefully I don't have a ton on my brush. Let's see if I can work some of that out without wasting it. Just going to drag it along the edge of my palette. Okay, now I'm just going to do a quick swipe across here just to add some color highlight. This is going to work out great. I think this is going to be just fine. This is going to be what it needs to be a little bit different than what it was, to see some contrast, see some of the darker blue underneath, and then see some lighter color on top. It's not super noticeable, but when you get up on it, you can definitely see that there's a little richness to the color because you see the layers there. And I'm just going to keep doing this here. And a little bit more. And then I'm going to bring this in to the rings, the ringtail up here. And I'm going to bring a little over here. Doesn't have to be too much. Just enough. And pulling that in there. All right. I may do a little bit more of that once this sets up, just to add another layer of lighter color on top of that. But I think that is working pretty well. So now, let's work on some more background color. So now I'm going to bring in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some walnut brown around the outside area. And then I'm going to work that into a lighter brown around here, because I don't want it to get sucked into dark right around the base of the creature. I'd rather have it around the outside here. So I've got walnut, and I want to look for a different light brown than the browns that I used in the wood here, because I don't want those to really compete as much. Plus, I wanted to stand up anyway. My back is getting a little achy from hunching like I shouldn't do. Let's try this one. This color has a good name, Ruddy Flesh. So first, I'm going to put the walnut brown down, and I'm going to work that around, and then we'll work in the lighter color. I'm going to go with this, and I will grab a... now, I'll stick with this number 4 brush. Let's go ahead and beat this one to death, to submission, and then it'll be time for a new brush after this piece. Okay, I'm just going to take some of this around and just kind of get around the edge and then just kind of blend it up. This will help separate the hands a little bit more, having a slightly darker color there. And even just that, just blending, dry brushing it into the existing paint color that's there, helps give it some extra depth. And I'll go ahead and work some of that color up out of the hole a little bit, just so it doesn't look like a hard edge right there. And quickly, it's not gonna take long for this to take form and shape. Okay, grab some more of this muddy brown. I'll do this one down around the edge again. And blend, blend, blend. And bring it up along the edge. Try and work this down around the side. Okay, bring a little more up in here because I feel like you could use it. bring that walnut brown up under the tail to help give that shadow, help the tail separate a little bit. Spin it around a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna tilt this guy down just so I can get a good handle on it here. And get up in this, around this edge. Need some more paint there. Bring it down and around and up to up here. And then just bring it down around along the tail here. And just gonna blend, blend, blend. Work that color in. And working that color in will definitely help give the shadows that it needs. I'm going to do just a little bit more around the base of this tail here, which most people won't ever be able to see, but I feel like it needs it. Alright. Now I gotta wait and see how that color dries. I think it's drying pretty well like that. It's one of the hardest part of painting in this room in the day with the lights that I have on and the natural light that comes through the windows, even with the shades drawn, tends to move a little bit throughout the day. But I definitely, during my work days, I prefer to do the painting versus the sculpting, because then I don't have to put on gloves and deal with that. If I have my phone blowing up and it's like an emergency client call that I have to take, I could easily jump off and pause the volume on the Twitch if I needed to. I'm going to get a little more of this walnut brown. Now I'm going to bring it in around the hands where it's over top of the background texture. Just a little bit, not too much. But enough to separate it some more. Just blend it in a little bit, and I'll do the same on the other hand. And bringing it around. And around, and then we'll bring it up on this side. And there's that part. I like how that color blend a little bit more. Don't want any hard lines here. I like how that brown worked. I'm not even going to bring a different lighter color under here. The only thing I'm going to do, I've got a little bit of this color from that I wanted to hide a little bit, so I'll bring this in and see if I can water that down and smooth it out. Just added a little bit of water, and just kind of blending that color down in and around a little bit. All right, now let's bring just a little bit of this lighter blue up into some more highlights up here, just a little bit. I think this guy's going to be about done. Might need to take a step back for a second and make sure I'm not missing anything or not thinking something through well enough on this guy. I think this lighter color as it goes around the eye is going to be nice. Kind of helps blend the mask out around the rest of the creature. Straighten you up. Stand up, take a look at him. Look around. Make sure there isn't anything that looks like, wow, I totally missed paint there. Or just going to give it a couple little highlights on the hands. And then I think we'll call this guy. Awesome, congratulations on saving the servers. Well done. What paint is, I'm gonna play with the light for a minute, try and figure out what is hitting this guy right in the top of the muzzle that's affecting the light. That's not it. All right, must be the outside light coming in. something. Yeah, I just have the lighting a little bit odd. That wasn't too bad for a server fail, the amount of time that you were gone. Alright, I'm going to put a couple more highlights on the hands. I need a little more of the this bluish white. Just going to put a little bit of that in, just a tiny little bit. While you were away, painted this guy up a lot more, added the background color. He's just about done to where I'm going to call it with this guy. Just going to add a few more little highlights in some places. And then he will be done. Just putting a real light coating of the white on top, and then I'm kind of wiping parts of it away with my fingers. Just wanted to kind of get a little bit of knuckle in there to kind of get a little bit of extra detail going. Thank you very much. I think once I photograph it where it doesn't have this kind of slightly weird lighting on it, I think it'll definitely, it's gonna look pretty done. I like how the colors in the face have turned out. They turned out a little bit whiter than I had intended, but I like that there's separation between the top and the bottom, and kind of has a weird skull look to it. Add a little highlight on the hinges, then wipe it away a little bit. This brush is definitely feeling a little worse for the wear. Little highlights on the ears, just a little. As the brush gets beaten up and fanned out, makes it easier for doing some really gentle dry brushing, just getting a little bit of paint on the tips. And then just smacking it around to pull some highlights in the really top parts. I'll even throw a little bit of that into the nose. And then we'll do a little bit up in the horns, antler pieces. And getting just a little bit more of that on there. You know, I think I need to bring a little bit of that silver back in right over here, just a little. Nothing major, just a little bit. It's just a little too bright there. Trains, oh the trains. And over here, let's check all the angles. I've got a little bit of silver on the back of his ear that shouldn't be there. See if I can get that out, or see if it's dried on. That's dried on, so get a little bit of this glue. Touch that up just quick. Spin him around again. Alright, I think this guy's done. I need to come up with his name and his story. I think the colors turned out well for how I was going. I like the mask, I like the face. Looks gentle, but the door is there and still slightly hidden. I think that'll probably do it for today's painting session. I should probably get back to work since it's just 4 minutes till 3 anyway. Clean off the eyes a little bit. Do I have an X-Acto over here? No, I'll go ahead and scrape eyes just a bit. Or no, I won't. There's no X-Acto over there. I thought we might have some time to get to this guy today. but I will have to save him for another day. Bye. I hope the rest of your day goes well, and I hope to see you again. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today on today's quest. I will see you again next time. The next stream will be Saturday night from 9:30 p.m. on, and I hope to see you then. Actually, let's see. And then, how do I do the raid? I should have figured out the raid on how to go in. My stream will start auto-hosting. It should probably start auto-hosting Abnormal, most likely, if whenever I shut down. So thanks, everybody. See y'all next time.